Well, I'm sitting here at my tiki bar, but I ain't seen the sun all day. There's a storm out there, but I don't care. Yeah, I've got Mike's weather page. Here we go now. Mike's weather page. You know you were tracking every move it makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know you won't let us all get blown away. Is it just me or is there spinach in it? There's spaghetti models and empty rum bottles, and sometimes Louis says hi. Hey, Louis. But you don't get no hurries and don't have no worries, cause we're drunk donkey nationwide. Everybody now. Mike's weather page. You know he'll be tracking every move that makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know he won't let us all get blown away. Did I ever tell you the story of the drunk donkey? Once upon a time, there was this weather woman. You can come as a pilot, stay kind of quiet, but you know you love watching Mike's page. So put your cone head shirt on, watch it live on your phone, and drink drunk donkey beer all day. Here we go now. Mike's weather page. You know you'll be tracking every move that makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know you won't let us all get blown away. Is that Blobby Bobby? I think that's Juicy Jerry. Yeah, Mike, throw a party, man.
All right. National Pirate Day. I just said R. I think R is in the song. I think it's Pirate Day, National Pirate Day. Every day is something. Today is 9/19 Day. Our official start time in the mornings, 9/19. Today should be our holiday, 9/19. This should be our day. But so anyway, what's going on, everybody? This is our Dirty 30. We're going to chit-chat really quick. Go about everything that's changed from this morning. Remember, in the mornings, I usually go an hour, hour and a half at least, okay? So this is going to be quick, just kind of where we're at today. Anything's changed, I'm going to go over all that. We're watching that system down in the Caribbean. We're going to go over all the models, look at all the ensembles, give you some of my thoughts, what's going on. And that's it, okay? It's painfully been a long 4 days of watching this now. Now we're in this lull stage, I have a feeling. The stages of tropical tracking, right? We all got worked up. I got worked up because, oh my God, we got a system in the Gulf. Now we all kind of accepted the fact we're probably going to have a system in the Gulf. So that's done with, and now we just have to sit back and wait and kind of see where it's going to go, okay? It's just dragging on, and it's like, oh, just get here and get over with, right? So I do have some models to share with everybody, and we're going to do that. And like I said, I usually don't go hello, maybe at the end a few hellos, but tomorrow morning, 9:19 Eastern, we go extra long. We talk, we mingle, we answer questions, but this is straight to the point, weather, and that's what it's all about. So we'll do all that. We'll do all the, and I am going to crack open a cold one, Red Bull. Get me through this. I'm very, very tired today. I'm going to have to go to bed a little early. So, thanks for watching, by the way, guys. Mike from Mike's Weather Page, Daily Brew Time, PM edition, the Dirty 30. What's going on? All right. So, 8 o'clock. We just got this came out. Still 40%. I couldn't believe it. I thought we'd be at least at 50%. But we're 40%. That's the official wording. 40% chance of development in the next 7 days. So these little guys out here are nothing, okay? I wanted to show you this because I actually had people text me worried about this one. This one is nothing. This is Old Gordon, okay? This one's going to go that way. This one's going to go that way. So You know, the only weird thing that could happen, it's probably not going to show on this map, but everybody's always worried about the eye storm. This one is Gordon. If it comes back, it's Gordon. This one, if it got sneaky on us, it could take Helene and leave the eye storm. Not to say that would happen, but wouldn't that be kind of weird? So anyway, don't worry about the other ones. We're going to talk about this one. This is our 40% spot. So that whole orange area, it's a big reminder to let everybody know that is not the track of the system at all. That is just the development area that they think that this thing could become a tropical depression, tropical storm. We don't have a center yet. Same. This is going to be like this for a few days. No center, no X. When they have an X, it usually means there's a center. We don't have a center because it's all being guessed that we're going to have a system developing maybe early late weekend. So this is the area that they believe we could see development begin. And then we get the forecast cone. This is not a cone. This is just a development area. There's a lot of support for this 40% still. Some of these maps here, this is on FSU. A lot of these are using like the Euro. And the Euro's showing development past 7 days. So that's tricking these models. So, that's development in the next 7 days. Past 7 days, we'll see. But it is a little bit. So the two things that have probably changed more than anything is it looks like we could be a day later, except for now the GFSs came back and we're back to Thursday again. So maybe a little later development, meaning a little bit later next week. And we're seeing two thought processes that we were talking about last night. We're seeing a quicker system go to the north, weaker system go to the west, and then back to the north and the east. This came out this week. I know I shared it before, just to kind of highlight the area that we're looking at. This is from NOAA, and this general area is where we're expected to see something develop. And I believe we're going to see something develop there. I don't have to remind people, Michael started there. Other storms have started there. This is a very sneaky spot in the tropics. The water's very, very warm. There's a loop current going on down there. We have very light wind shear. It looks like we could have an anticyclone develop overhead next week, which would allow really easy ventilation and chance to grow. We got the approaching Madeline and Julian oscillation, the MJO, coming in, which would promote favorable environment to expand ocean heat content. Everything's there once we get a low pressure, and then we got to really be cautious what could possibly happen. And I don't have to remind anybody. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you all the models. That's what we do. We had some pretty big bad models in the last 2 days showing you the worst case scenarios. Okay, that's the area though. So it's all kind of, this is what's brewing. I'm going to show you this, and we're going to go right into the model. So we got a cold front. So anybody to Panhandle tonight? Is it cool up there? It kind of feels it down here. There's this cold front coming down. Cold fronts influence everything. Okay? Cold fronts influence everything. Water area map shows this cold front right here. Let me show you. This is what's going on right now. This is all in a nutshell. This is all moisture starting to feed. This moisture is going to be becoming a factor, and this moisture is going to be becoming a factor. All this is setting up for something to start rotating. These winds from the front are going to get pulled down. These winds here are going to help turn. These winds from the Pacific are going to help moisten it up too. So I just drew a hurricane symbol. I'll be damned. I didn't even plan on that. But that's kind of what's happening. The service charts down the road are showing this cold front here on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, there's our front. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tail end of fronts typically help kickstart tropics. There's your general low pressure developing here on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday they're showing a low pressure off the tip of the Yucatan. Totally makes sense. That's where things start getting real. Middle next week, early next week, middle next week, we can see a low pressure area. Now, also in this image this is the biggest factor right here. This cold front right there. There's a cold front coming down. You probably read the discussion. I posted a bunch about it too. This cold front typically lifts systems and turns them. If you go by history, that will pick up our system and eventually turn it a little bit to the east. That's typically what happens down there. I'm going to show you Eric Burris's research at the end of our little video to show you storms that develop in this area, how they all pretty much kind of done that Eastern Gulf thing. But this is the front we're watching. This is our incoming next front that's going to ultimately impact our system. And we'll go into that a little bit more here in a second. This is what it's going to look like. This is crazy. This is winds. I tell you, I'm just so fascinated with this setup. If you watch the Pacific winds and you watch the Caribbean winds, I already fast forwarded there, but then you got the frontal line winds. All this moisture gets fed up. Like we're fed up, right? It all gets fed up into our system. This frontal line pulls juice. This pulls juice. The winds come this way, and we get a natural swing. Like counterclockwise swing, Central American gyre, and a watch. Look at that. Is that not like crazy how that happens? That is exactly what we're watching here. And this is through early part of next week. This is the latest one of the GFS runs, but it just shows you how we can get this whole setup developing. So there's, that's the way it is. Okay. So let's look at all the latest Ensemble plots here. So these are on Tropical Tidbits. There's two schools of thinking. These are your latest GFS. Coloring kind of indicates more chances of a developing area, more yellows, more oranges, or better chances. All the models are starting to show Monday low depression or low pressures developing here Monday and Sunday in the Caribbean. And then as we go forward in time, here's Tuesday morning, here's Wednesday morning, Wednesday night. So we're starting to see that lift to the north. We're seeing a lot of eastern Gulf. We're also seeing a few kind of staying weak and going off a little bit to the west, indicating weaker frontal line impacts, more of a high pressure driving that's a little bit more northwest before it probably goes north and then back east again. Okay. But this is what I'm sure you read or heard about a bunch already. There's your GFS showing you the two school of thoughts right now. A fast-moving system that could impact midweek next week all the way and be gone by the weekend, or we have some of the members sticking behind and then get lifted and turned possibly back. Okay, so it's a weird setup, but the impacts are still there. I'm still seeing Eastern Gulf, less Western Gulf, and we go over a lot of those reasons in the morning show. For sure. Now, I posted this earlier today. This is really a very important graphic, I think. One of my best ones, I will say so myself. So it was the 2 runs of the GFS ensembles and 2 runs of the Euro ensembles. This is looking ahead 7 days. So every end of one of these lines could have been in 7 days, which would be next Thursday. So you can already start to see a few of these are already up here impacting possibly. But then we got a bunch of them still hanging out down here. So by this time next week, likelihood is something is still hanging around the BOC. That's 7 days from now. Oh my God. But fast forward a week after the 7 days, we're getting into like 8, 9, 10, 11 days from now. Look what happens, man. These all start to organize and they start to do their thing. So that is a considerable amount of the GFS ensembles that are upper Eastern Gulf here. And red is hurricane, and there's a lot of them. The 7-day Euro, very few models have it doing anything. Stays weak. There's a couple of them pulling up towards the upper Gulf Coast. Fast forward, there's a lot of them pulling up and to the northeast. So this has really not changed anything, except it's a little bit later and maybe a little more west. Watching close. Florida Peninsula should be still watching close. Obviously, the Panhandle watching close. Louisiana towards the Panhandle watching close. Very few of these are showing Texas. Historically, I always share the history map. Historically, Texas doesn't have hardly anything with a direct hit this time of year. Doesn't say it can't happen. It's just upper Eastern Gulf still is in play. It's all from that same system that we're watching develop because of this CAG. It's just, it might take a little longer now. Oh, God. But, again, good consistency that likelihood of something strong could develop. more time over water is not good. Less time over water is good. And I'm going to show you the latest GFS here in a second. So that's it. I mean, 7 days, it makes a lot of sense to me. This is really, it's just wait, see type of thing. So let's go over the latest GFS. Probably been one of the most consistent models on this system and in the past this year. The latest run, this is on tropicaltidbits.com, is very interesting. Back to this. Sometimes things go back to where they all began. Allman Brothers, right? Tuesday, low pressure starting to develop. Starts to lift. 999 pressure here on Thursday, early Thursday. Could start to bring action to the Keys as early as Wednesday. Remember, it seems like it's about a day later. Here's your rains overnight. This is overnight into Wednesday morning. You could almost start to see some stuff head that way. There's that frontal line coming into play on next Wednesday and Thursday. There's our system pulling up. And you know what? It doesn't have a lot of time to organize. And that is so realistic of what could happen. Now, granted, it's still 980 range. Still hurricane, but not what we were seeing earlier today. 986 is still a decent hurricane. That's a still strong Cat 1. And let me tell you something. Where I live in Tampa Bay, we don't care about Cat 1s, Cat 2s, Cat 3s, okay? Every storm is different, and we've saw tremendous effects from Debbie, and we saw tremendous effects from Idalia 100 miles off our coast. So that's just one model of many. Not saying it's going to hit there. It's just, a faster moving. There's that front. It picks it up. And look at that. Skirts the East Coast. We could have East Coast impacts Friday morning. Rotating in. Buddy of mine, Ricky, if you're watching, Carolina Beach, could be affected by this system the end of the next week into the weekend. And it's going to race on out of here. Now, that's a very believable scenario. It's kind of what was showing up a couple days ago. Frontal line appears to be stronger than the euro, and it allows our system to see this frontal line pull up, tug and turn. Tug and turn. I've been saying that for days, it seems like. All right, so there's that run. Now let's look at the bad 12Z. Now this is the one I obviously did not share. I'm sure everybody shared it. So 12Z came out this afternoon. Oh my God. 12Z did this. Tuesday, Wednesday morning, gives it a little time over water. This is Wednesday into Thursday. And then all of a sudden, man, it just feeds off that Gulf of Mexico. And Friday morning, and then it starts heading in next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So huge difference, 40-some millibars difference. Okay, but that is like worst case scenario for anybody. And the GFS has been showing that possibility along the upper Gulf and eastern Gulf. So that's why we just got to be cautious on every individual run. They'll drive you drinking or pull your hair out of your head. But again, I think what's important here is the timing and the patterns. And we're still seeing the slow developing low pressure from the Central American gyre. We're still seeing a tug north and a turn to the east, okay, in the operational runs. And we see that with ensembles too. No other system looks like it's going to do anything. I'm not going to talk about this one. This is all over the place. That was earlier today. Now it's gone. So, these phantom runs we're not going to talk about. That run that was earlier today is not showing up. The 6Z GFS, low pressure Tuesday morning, and it's what it did earlier today. And it was more of a southerly across the Yucatan, developed it, and then pulled it up more towards the panhandle. Slingshotting that thing a couple days over water, and then it feels another front coming in, and it turns it off to the northeast. So you see that kind of pattern we got going on right here. So that's confidence. Okay, so the Euro AI has been everywhere. I was a little disappointed. I thought it was being consistent, then it stopped. So here's the latest 12Z. I haven't even looked at it yet. There's development Tuesday. Development here Wednesday. There's Thursday. And it makes sense. It kind of goes straight north towards the Alabama and Mississippi line, close to Florida Panhandle there, close to Louisiana. That would be Friday morning. So the lift fast is what we're looking at. A lift fast, less time to intensify. But that's still a strong Cat 1, possibly Cat 2. Latest 6Z on the EIEIO. Kind of did the same thing. It came up and almost the same thing. So 2 runs back to back. Development here on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and then kind of shoots it straight back up north towards Friday, towards Saturday. The overnight 00Z kind of meandered over here in the BOC. A little piece breaks off and heads up to Florida the following weekend. So that one's definitely the oddball run. But everything that we're seeing here, slow, low developing Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some movement kind of northwest. Eventually, boom. Eventually something tugging and turning either to the north or to the northeast. So high consistency on that. The latest Canadian model is developing our low a little bit to the west. 995. This is on Tuesday. And it kind of trended a little more west, but we've seen the Canadian kind of do this. But it's fast. So if any trend, this is Friday. So if any trend we're seeing with every one of these models, the operational models, less lingering, signs of a stronger front. So really none of that's changed. Your operational models, feeling that front next week, lifting up out of here, absorbing into that front, and disappearing. There's Sunday. So that's consistency on the Canadian. The track's a little all over the place. Here's the latest 00Z. Starts developing it quick. Now, any development here in the Yucatan to the west puts it over there more in the Western Gulf before the tug and the turn. Development a little bit off of the Yucatan kind of puts it back into the Eastern Gulf. And you can see that with that run of the Canadian hitting kind of the Florida Panhandle. But it's fast. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the one thing that's consistent tonight is we're not really seeing any of these stalling like the Euro. The Euro AI, the Canadian, the GFS, they're all showing a fast exit. So. All right, the Icon is kind of, well, we don't have the 18Z, or it only goes out so far. There's 18Z, this is on the 24. Then we got the 00Z, or 12Z, and it kind of parked in the middle Gulf here. Starts lifting a little bit, but it only goes out to, it actually goes out to Friday. But it's 985, so it's developing it, Days over the Gulf, it's not good. I don't care what side you're on the Yucatan here. 2 days of that Gulf is what's letting these systems build into monsters, okay? When they're getting lifted north, there's a little bit more shear involved because of the front, and they don't have time. So they have a little less time to try to really get going. But if they sit and fester down here, they'll have chances to get going. But the Icon's been trending a little bit to the west. The latest Euro, same thing, taking its time, and then it starts to lift up a little bit. So, all right, so you're thinking, okay, that's west. What does that mean? Well, first off, this is like into next weekend. This is taking forever. But if you look back at the European ensembles, pretty much everything is in and up north to northeast. So even something here could still end up kind of going northeast, okay? And that's kind of what we've been seeing with all these models. Let me show you the latest Euro ensembles here, which kind of makes it somewhat clear. I know none of this probably. Hell, man, I'm confused. No, I'm not. So here's your European weaker systems end up over here in the BOC. This would be next Wednesday. There are a couple strong ones going north. But watch these just sit around a little bit, and then it only goes out 10 days. Well, we go to 15 days. Hang on a second. Let's go find it. It's crazy we're going to 15-day maps because the 10-day doesn't even start to lift those yet. But they are going to lift, and they are ultimately going to end up kind of off to the north and then to the northeast. So here's your 7-day Euro. So a few of these try to go north. A couple of them linger around here. This would be next Thursday. But then we go forward in time. Look what happens. Like next Friday, we already have a couple of them shooting off to the northeast. We have more coming into play. We have some going north. And if you go to 15 days, there's a whole lot of red. So even as bad as the European looks like it's doing, it still hangs on to some energy, and then it finally shoots off to the northeast. And some of these are pretty strong, I will say. I mean, we're talking 967, 954, 973, 976. And the Euro is not good at predicting intensity, especially when it's going to sit over here for a couple of days. So this would be trouble. Less trouble would be front coming in strong, this thing lifting up and getting out of here in a couple of days. That would be minimal hurricane, maybe Cat 2, which is still serious. But these major hurricanes that we're seeing on some of these model runs are allowing a little bit more time before a turn off eventually. So time is not what you want. And one day can be a big difference in a timing. And it all comes down to the front. It's all the front. And these, this year, the fronts are strong, right? We talk about that. Every year you get a feeling of what's going on. The Bermuda High has not really ever built back in since Debbie. Nothing scientific with that. It just seems like this year's fronts now are overachieving and they're getting farther south, right? We got one that just went through Florida. It's going to exit Florida. So kind of tells you the next one could be, the same. So strong fronts could mean a quicker lifting system middle to later next week. That high pressure builds back in. Then it's going to go a little bit to the west, and then it'll feel the next front 3 or 4 days later and lift up out of here. Makes really complete sense. It's just you just have to sit and we have to wait. We have to wait. I texted my buddy Dennis today, Phillips. Don't you go talking smack back and forth, because we're best buddies, man. But we both kept our 12-foot skeletons in the attic. Before the 12Z GFS came out, I was trying to take a nap. Was on Drew Garabo's show today. Damn 12Z GFS came out. My phone just went nuts. Everybody texted me. I'm like, something happened. I knew it. I couldn't make it. I was about hour 1:20 and I was like, I got to take a nap. So I knew something happened. I knew the models obviously showed Tampa. 2 in a row now they're showing Tampa. 2 in a row. I mean, and I'm telling you, we cannot stress enough, it's only going to be a 1. Because I'm telling you, our area, Tampa Bay, we saw impacts from a no-name in December that flooded hundreds of homes. We saw Ada, 65 miles off our coast, flooded 500 plus homes, over 1,000 homes from Ada. We saw Adelia, 100 miles off our coast, flood up and down the whole west coast. So, I don't want to say, the latest GFS is only 990 or 980. This is the latest GFS. Still, hurricane. There still will be impacts. That was the latest. Now, 940 millibar, I'll be out there with a damn bullhorn telling everybody to evacuate. I'd be like, get the hell out of Dodge. What a difference, though. The euro is completely opposite. So that's what stinks right now. Two thinking, right? We got euro weak on the operational, lingering around, and then takes off. That's kind of what Michael did. Michael came up, low pressure, kind of hung around, and then it took off. So that lingering around, no matter where that lingering around happens, that's going to bring the chances up for a stronger system. And again, most of them are pointing back off to the northeast eventually. That is the one thing that's common with even the euro. As bad as the euro appears, as far as not showing anything, there are quite a few ensembles that are showing the opposite. So just want to be cautious about that. That something that festers here for a few days could be big trouble. Bigger trouble. So if you're rooting for anything, you want this system to develop and react to that cold front. Let's take a look at the latest cold front maps here real quick on Tropical Tidbits. We can look at the overall pattern. Let's look at it right here and just show you the difference of what these models are showing with that cold front and the height anomaly map. So we go to next Thursday, Wednesday. All right, so here's next Wednesday. Oranges are high pressure, basically. Higher pressure norms. We still look at high pressure down here too, but the blues help. The blues low pressure are front, and you can see why the GFS is pulling towards that. So systems are attracted to these frontal lines, and they always end up doing that. If there is a high pressure building back in here strong, and these two connect for the time being, then our system just keeps on riding off to the west more. The winds of a high pressure kind of push it that way, and then we get another gap. So that's the GFS. That's why we're seeing a turn to the north. The latest euro is showing that high pressure connecting the dots, and our system riding the bottom side over here to the lower Gulf before this next little wave kind of backs up. It's weird. I don't know what the hell happened there, but then we get a gap. There's that gap. That's why the euro waits a couple days, and then it takes off to the northeast once it feels that gap. So that's the difference. How strong that frontal line is middle of next week. Very strong on the euro, and the GFS very weak. It's a huge difference. And you would think these models in 2024 would be a little better, but they're not. Mother Nature is tricky. Now the Canadian is doing the same exact thing. Here's next Tuesday. There's a gap, and that's why the Canadian is attracting a little more to the west. This is next Wednesday. They're like magnets. They're attracted to each other. They repel off the high. The highs spin clockwise. The highs push our systems. They rotate around those highs, and there you go. So that's why the Canadian went a little bit more to the west before it turns north. So we look at things. It's better to look at ensemble means. So like here's the EPS for next Wednesday, and it's a lot different than the operational run. I should have showed the ensemble. I don't know what I was thinking. I know we went past 30 minutes, but anyway, it's what I tell you, Shelly. I said it was going to be a short one. Here I am, get my second win. So the European ensemble upper level maps here on Tropical Tidbits kind of showing you a little bit deeper ridge than the operational run, which could indicate a little more turn to the north and a little quicker. This is next Friday. The GFS ensemble range showing you a lot stronger ridge here on Thursday, and this is on Thursday morning. So theoretically, this is all the GFS members. Here's our developing system. Here's our cold front, and the GFS is strong. This is attracted to it, and that's why it's going off ahead of this cold front. The Euro ensembles and the Canadian ensembles showing almost the same gap for Thursday, and the Euro ensembles kind of the same. So it's once these models figure out this, then it can speed up our system and get it out of there, or keep it down there for a couple days. History still shows that it's probably going to get lifted and turned, eventually. So this is what my buddy Eric Burris put together over in Orlando. So he took that current orange spot that's in the National Hurricane Center, and all the hurricanes that have come from that area in September and October, where they went. And it's not scientific or anything like that. But, most of them lifted and most of them turned. Very few went to Texas. So, historically, anything that tries to develop in that orange area, this is where they went. This is hurricanes and where they went. So it kind of puts it back into historical averages, and that's kind of where I'm leaning on. And now the GFS is kind of back to doing that again. So, still thinking upper Eastern Gulf. When I say upper Eastern, it's a lot of Florida. So we'll see. Morning, God, I hope tomorrow we wake up. I hope the steering currents are very, consistent. I hope, one thing positive doing our little live tonight, all your operational models are not stalling other than the Euro. And the Euro this season has been the outlier. So we have the Euro AI, we have the Canadian, we have the GFS. In fact, we didn't look at the current KMA, and I don't think the UK. But anyway, we're seeing a good chance this thing's still going to lift up next week and hopefully be out of here by the weekend of the next weekend. So and that's why the last two GFS runs, or the last run of the GFS, is kind of showing that pulling up fast. So we'll see here. We'll see what the old KMA says here. 12Z. It's really west, but it's spitting off the energy way down. It's messed up. It's not doing a good job. This is not a good run. It's picking up something down in the Pacific and bringing it around. So you got to just got to disregard weird runs that make no sense. But what it does tell you is this: you can still learn a lot from this model. This is not going to happen, I'm pretty sure. But this is Friday. Look at the lift pattern. So if anything the KMA is doing, it's reading the upper level winds in that front being strong. So if anything that it's telling us is the scenario where this thing gets lifted up and moves on out of here fast. So that is one thing we can take from that run. Not to stall. The stall seems very, here's the latest UK starting to do a little spot here on Wednesday, Thursday. A little later to the game, but you can still see it developing. So it just doesn't go out far enough yet. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. But you can see the CAG set up here on the UK starting to develop a little low pressure system here. We can look at the upper level winds with this. It might tell us a little something, maybe, possibly. And check out the 500 winds. And see, now this could tell you a lot right here. So this is your UK. This is your front. This is next Thursday. That is a very opposite of the Euros. So that's another sign that this could get lifted and turned toward the Eastern Gulf, Florida. So the UK does a pretty decent job of reading currents. So that's another consistent trend of a deeper front, not a ridge, a front. I call them fronts, not troughs. I have a hard time calling them troughs. I like calling them fronts. That's what they're cold fronts, not troughs. Same thing, cold front. But the UK is showing a strong trough. Dad, I just said it. Strong front. And that is strong. And that would more than guarantee this is going to lift and turn without a lot of time to develop. So 2 days, not enough to be a major if it's nothing here. But what you got to worry about is if it develops at all in the Yucatan, then we got trouble. And that one run of the GFS did develop it down there as a 9 pretty quick. And I think it was the last night run, if I remember right. It was maybe the 18Z. Yeah, see, here was the 18Z yesterday. Yesterday, but see the GFS already showing 982 here. Now that would be bad. So whatever it does down here, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because it's going to develop more on its journey out of here. But starts low, gets really low. Like it got down to 929 on this run. Yes, 929. So, but steering pattern is what we're looking at, and that was encouraging for me for building the case that this has got a better likelihood of not stalling. So, nothing's changed. We just have a few more options on the plate, but I still think, I still think Eastern Gulf late next week, and Florida should be watching close. Fast mover, no lingering East Coast effects, yes, as it races out of here. You all have had exiting tropical systems in the past, so they luckily don't hang out long. Rainfall could be a problem. I don't have to remind anybody of that. We get any sort of rainfall. Let's look at the two examples here from the GFS on rainfall. One being a strong hurricane, one being a regular hurricane. I don't want to say a weak hurricane. Is there such a thing as a weak hurricane? So latest GFS for Florida. How did I get up in Georgia? Hey, my favorite new song is from Stapleton, man, Arkansas. If you want a jammin' country AC/DC style song that's country, oh my God, that song is the best. So here is a normal hurricane. What kind of rainfall we're going to get if this were to happen? Yeah. See, still bad. A lot of pockets with 10 inches of rain. We are saturated in the state, so this would be a lot of rainfall if it does pass through there. Now, what was the run before? We'll see. A stronger system, slower, wider moving system. About the same, but still double digits. Dark purple is double digits. So another side effect here is rain. And depending on how it rides the East Coast, if that's the exit that it does, then we have to reset everything because it doesn't default back to that. So, oh my God, what happened to my 30 minutes? Sorry, Shelly. I started out feeling like I didn't know what I was even going to talk about because I was tired. I actually took an antihistamine today because my nose, I was feeling a little stuffy. Me and antihistamines do not work very well together. And I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling draggy. But hey, I'm here. Why are we defaulting back to Florida? Come on, there we go. So if this thing skirts, see that heavy rain band just misses everybody. A little bit in Carolina, it's 3-4 inches here. Now, this is through Saturday as it exits out of here. But again, it all depends on that exit, and that's the 18Z, the 12Z, I believe, exited even more off the Atlantic coast. No, about the same. So, yeah, as expected. East Coast could definitely feel some big rains as this thing races out of here. A race out of here pretty much means it could be out of here by the weekend, at least, for most everybody. because it's tied up that front line. Fronts have been the story this season. So I tend to think the fronts are going to win this battle of the stalling versus what we've been seeing. And that means Eastern Gulf. So, could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. And that's what my gut's telling me still today. So, all right, so what's the deal? We'll be live tomorrow. I'm going to look at comments tomorrow. I promise. Promise I'll look at comments tomorrow. We'll say hello tomorrow. I got the dogs tomorrow. We'll go for an hour and a half tomorrow. We do it at 9:19 Eastern. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in. Hope some of this information helped you. Once we get more specifics, I'll do more specifics on impacts, but we're really in the early stages here. This is mainly just being aware, and hey, this thing could be impacted as early as next Wednesday, Thursday, possibly. NHC's at 40%. If you want official information, 40%. Doesn't sound that bad. But if the Euro develops this thing, I can bet it would have been a lot higher. So, all right, well, that's it for me, y'all. Have a great evening. All right, we'll see you for Friday tomorrow.